Okay, hello, my name is Caitlin Hanks, and this is my video submission of our major project. And this is the only form, I'm going to hold it a while just in case you need to pause it or just look at it. This is the only form ID I have. I just turned 21 November 11th. I turned 21 and I ordered my ID because it expired, and my ID, the hard copy, got shipped back and I never got it. And so my temporary ID, the one I had before this, it recently expired. So Tuesday, I had to go get an updated version of my temporary, but my hard copy should be in the mail soon. By the time I get it, this project will be over. So yes, that's it. If you need to pause it and look at it, and if you need any pictures, if you want me to email it or something, I can do that as well. So I would like to begin. So the definition of sociology is the study of social life and change. That is sociology, but the actual definition of the word is the study of the behavior of humans in society and the consequences of this behavior. So when you first look at the definition of sociology, like when I first was enrolled into this course and I looked at the major project, the first thing I thought was, how am I going to do this project? How do I apply sociology and its concepts and see how it plays a role in my life? But as I did the assignments and worked through discussions and did the quizzes and just everything, writing the essays, I realized that sociology does play a huge role in my life, and not only in my life, but in my experiences as well. So I would like to reflect on my youth to explain the significance of sociology in my personal experience. So I will be using code names to protect personal information and the identity of others. So, okay. So I am from a small conservative town in Georgia, and the code name I will give this town is Pose. That's not the actual city I'm from. Please don't Google Pose County and think that's where I'm from, and these are the people I'm talking about. But, yes, so I grew up in a small conservative town, Pose, Georgia, and I went to Pose County High School. So, social status, basically, it determined how well you were treated, the access you had, the connections you make to everybody, the networking. Your social status determined that. And basically, whether you were in high school, middle school, elementary school, or you're an adult, these social constructs still apply to you. So basically, there's a hierarchy. And so at the top are government officials. So if you're a police officer, a judge, a mayor, you're the most important person, like the most elite in our hometown. And right up under that is healthcare workers. So EMT, nurses, doctors, they're right up under that. Beneath that are school teachers. So if you are a school teacher, you get the utmost respect, just everything. Like everything. You have access to everything. You can network with anybody. You are very important in our hometown. And so beneath school teachers are the wives of very important men. So if your husband owns an oil company, if your husband is in the military, just if your husband does anything important, you are one of the important people of our town. And if you don't fit into any of these categories, you are the help. So you're looked at as like basically the scum of the hometown. We may like individuals that look at you, they may not speak. And if you are, that's a general overview, but if you are African American, this does change a bit, like it shifts. So, for example, my mother, she works with government officials of the town. She works for the city, and she works hand in hand with the mayor. But if you put her next to a school teacher, specifically a school teacher that is white, the white school teacher will trump my mother, like in importance, in ranking, and everything. She just trumps what. If her and my mother gets into a disagreement, everyone will automatically take her side, and my mom is wrong and she needs to apologize. So yes. So I'm sorry. So in high school, your ranking, when you're in school, basically your ranking in high school, like how the teachers look at you, how the elite look at you, is based on what your parent does. So when you're in high school, if your parent is a teacher, you have access to everything. You get the utmost respect from teachers. They're more lenient. If you skip school, your parents won't get called. You may just get a talking to, versus if the next student whose parent just is a janitor or whose parents works in fast food or retail, you will get suspended and your parents will be notified, basically. So, like I said, in high school, basically, depending on what your parents do and who your parents were, that that was a deciding factor how you were treated, the access you had. So for me personally, when I entered high school, I was in a class of honors. So everyone in my class except for two people, their parents were administrators, like they were teachers, administrators. They had family in the school system, and my like I said, my mom she worked close hand in hand with the mayor, but the two kids whose parent wasn't a teacher, who were still considered elite, their parents like owned gas stations, so they were still like, oh, y'all have a lot of money, y'all have your own businesses, so yeah, they had higher ranking. I had a friend whose mother, she was a nurse, but since he was a person of color, that ranking, like, yeah, your mom's a nurse, but we were still ranked at like basically the bottom, just because. So whenever I would enter a classroom, like first day of school, or yeah, basically first day of school, or even if we had substitute teachers, they call roll, and I would say, hey, my name is Caitlin Hanks, and my mother is, I would say my mother's name as if she was a god, as if it was a shield of protection against anything they could do to me. But unfortunately, because I am African American, my mom working hand in hand with the mayor, it didn't really solidify anything for me. It didn't protect me from being mistreated or anything. So that was definitely something I had to deal with in high school. So basically, I'm sorry. Basically, so basically, majority of the kids in my class, they were, of higher ranking. So, but like I said, whether the ranking not only depends on many things, and something that played a big factor, and it was race. So once before, I had the flu. I got the flu a lot in high school, so I was late submitting an assignment. I came back from having the flu on a Monday, and the assignment was due Friday. So I was asked, like, okay, it's Monday. Will you have the assignment by tomorrow? And I'm like, okay, can I have it by Wednesday? Because it was a lot to do, and even though I was feeling better, it's just like, okay, I've been under the weather. Can I take this? Is my first day back. I can get it to you in 2 days. And I was told no. But I had a fellow classmate of the elite status say that she went out partying, and it was prom weekend, and she just was so sick from partying, and she needed to do the assignment by Friday, and she was granted permission. So I got the assignment done, but it wasn't as good as it should have been, being that she made me have it the same night by 12. So that was a thing. My grades were affected. I'm still an undergrad, but they were affected a lot. So basically, when I entered high school, it was also the year of the election. So it was 2016 election, Donald Trump versus, Hillary Clinton, who's going to win. And so this was a topic in our class, like almost every day it was a trending topic in our class. Who do you think is going to win? Who do you want to win? And basically it was just assumed that the black kids, and I don't want to say black, because I would say the people of color, because not all of us were people of color, being that we were the ones who we weren't the elite. Basically, we weren't the elite, but between us, within our peer group, we weren't just the black kids. It's like the non-elite, basically. Like, it was assumed that we would all just vote for Hillary because Hillary was not the better choice, and we were the poor group. So of course we would make a poor choice. And so one day in class, our social studies teacher, she was just talking about it. She literally goes, raise your hand if your parents are voting for Donald Trump. And so, of course, a big chunk of the classroom raises their hand. And in my head, it's like, okay, this is my opportunity to be a part of the elite. This is my, opportunity to just ditch this peer group, ditch everything, and just be a part of the elite. Like, yes, I do have a peer group. We do have our shared values. and we do have the similar interests. And I mean, there were four of us in a class of 22, but I'm like, okay, like this is my chance, but I don't say anything. I didn't get the chance to say anything because I was still, going back and forth. Am I going to say my parents are voting for Donald Trump so I can fit in? Am I going to keep my hand down and just not ditch who I am and ditch my beliefs just to be considered important? But before I could, she went, yeah, I figured that most of your parents had a good hand on their head and they were going to vote for Donald Trump. And at that moment, I just shut down. I didn't say anything. I just didn't say anything. Me and my shared group, we just looked at each other. And it was a very uncomfortable situation. And, of course, class went on and we did classwork. So that's more on the macro level of how social status impacts you in Post County, Georgia. That's on the macro level. On the micro level, I would say relationships amongst my peers. So all of them were not mean to me. None of them were just directly mean. It would just be microaggressions and I'm not going to ride in the car with this person because of my social status. I am seen as elite, so there's no way I could ride with a non-elite. And, there was always a divide. But on the micro level, I would say, on the micro level, with really the stuff you couldn't really see or the stuff you saw but you really didn't say too much, I would say the relationship amongst my peers and I. So the people who were elite, there was a boy. We were always friends. We started working at the same local grocery store. We'll name him Mark. That's not his real name. Mark and I, we had a good relationship. We worked together. So we started talking and we had good banter. We had good conversations. And we took pictures. We were actual friends. And one day we were in class, we were taking pictures, ha ha ha. And it just never occurred to me, maybe I don't need to do this. And the other elites face, maybe this is okay. We're at work and we're with adults. And these adults are not the elite adults because they're working at the grocery store. So this is okay. But I didn't realize that in that setting that it wasn't okay because his friend, we'll name his friend Max. So Mark and I took a photo and I posted it. I uploaded it onto my social media platform. And Max told Mark, you should tell her to delete it. That's not okay. You're going to be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed to even take a picture with her. I get it. We pity them and we feel bad for them. But, it goes to an extent to how much you could do. And Mark ended up asking me to delete it, but he was just I don't look good in that photo, so I don't want it up. And also, I have a girlfriend. I wouldn't want her to be mad. And even though I overheard the conversation, I just didn't acknowledge it. And I was like, okay, I get it. I'll respect boundaries. So that was more on a micro level of how it affected, how that affected us. But I will say that even to this day, it affects me because Personally, I didn't see what was happening as wrong until I graduated and I started sharing high school scenarios and situations with friends, and they were just that's not okay. That's not a social norm. That's very much hierarchy, social status playing into the role. And as I heard it, it's okay, yeah, I get it, but I thought that it was something that just occurred. I thought it was a norm, basically. I didn't know it was taboo. I would say this, even now it plays a role in my life because I was a previous nursing major this past semester. I've been a nursing major and I've wanted to be a nurse all my life. And when I got to college, this past semester, I realized that I didn't want to do nursing anymore. My grades were good. Everything was fine. I understood it, but it wasn't something I was passionate about. It was something I was passionate about. It was I was a slave to this career and this job and this major. I was just a slave to it. So I did what I had to do, but I did not enjoy it. And it took a lot for me to say I didn't want to do it anymore because within my family, it was looked at as, hey, you're a nursing major, so you're on this pedestal, and now that you're not a nursing major, you're gonna go down. Like, you're gonna go down. You're not on the pedestal no more. You're not. You go down the hierarchy, And I had to realize, like, my value and my importance isn't based on what I do in life. And I took from what I learned in high school and applied it now. And I just stood on it and said, I understand, but I just don't want to do that anymore. So it did help me, even though the experience of high school, that experience was traumatic. It did help me. So that's just some fun facts about me and how I have applied social concepts to my personal life. And so now I wanted to answer the questions that were asked. I do have my answers written down, so I will be reading from that sheet of paper. So sociological theory and research, right? It helps individuals understand the relationship between said individual and society by examining how the social world influences the way we feel and interact. So personally, I feel that symbolic interactionalism is a sociological theory that can best be used to explain the relationship between individual and society. It follows the relationship amongst individuals within society. So George Herbert Mead, or Med is MEAD, he's one of the founders of symbolic interaction. I'm gonna say symbolic interaction. So basically, he outlined the basic premises. So he said, and I quote, "Humans interact with things based on meanings ascribed to those things. The ascribed meaning of those things come from our interactions with others in society. The meanings of things are interpreted by a person when dealing with things in specific circumstances." So an example could be, let's say I love to read books. So I love to read books. A symbolic interactionalist, such as George, he would infer that, okay, I had a healthy relationship with my parents, and I had a good education. I was raised on a good educational foundation, and I have a healthy relationship with books, and I love to read because I associate that with positivity. So that's just an example. So yes, this has been my project, and I just want to show my ID one more time, just in case. This is my ID one more time, just in case. Yes. So this has been my project, and have a great day.